Hey guys, it's Tony. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you checked out the last video I did on Mr. Kenny Washington, the first black man in the more or less modern pro football era to appear in a game and be signed by the Los Angeles Rams in 1946, 1 year before Jackie Robinson integrated the majors with Major League Baseball with the Dodgers. So in that video, I alluded to a series I have coming up, which today is going to be episode 0, episode 1. I'm not sure what to call it yet. But I want to walk through what I want to do with this series, the cards I've picked up, and show you the cards I've picked up, and then intro kind of each of the next few series, or many more than a few, talking about each of those players. So in short, I've done a lot of research, whether it's, Saber, Baseball Reference, Wikipedia, other well-written sources about, for those original teams in the 40s and 50s, with the Brooklyn Dodgers being the first to integrate with Jackie Robinson, who was the first African-American, or I'll just say, non-white player to play in a big league game, major league game, for each of those teams? So there were 16 teams from the late 40s through the Boston Red Sox in the late 50s who were in existence in the majors, who then had a first African-American to play for their team. The Dodgers were the first with Robinson, and the Boston Red Sox were the last in 1959 with Pumpsie Green. So I've got 16 players, and a few teams it was kind of curious. I'm not sure which is really the first. And again, I don't want to get into ethnicities and race and what does it mean to not be white. But again, a few were kind of like had a few options to choose from. But I'm happy to report I've gotten a card of each of those first black players to integrate each of their teams. You saw my Jackie Robinson the last video about Mr. Kenny Washington. But I want to walk through in this video all of those 16 players and teams real briefly, intro the series, and then I want to do a deep dive on each player and each team and the year, the date that they integrated that team and what was happening in the majors, the US even, culturally at that time, maybe what led to each of those teams choosing to sign that player and put him in that roster for the first time in their respective years. So there'll be 16 videos, 16 teams. This will be an intro to kind of show you who the players are, but I'll save more of the details of the players for each of their respective videos. So hopefully you stick along for the video ride. Hope you enjoy it. If I'm missing any data or have some of the dates or facts wrong, please let me know. I'm not trying to say this is all exactly accurate. I've done a lot of research the last few months behind the scenes to try to get this as close to accurate, at least as we know it and as possible. But if you have facts to add or insight that I'm missing, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear and learn more about that. So without further ado, let me turn the camera around. I'll show you the cards I've got, and we'll go into it. So I'll talk to you soon. See ya. All right, we're back. I hope you enjoy this series. I've had a fun time researching it. There's a lot more to come. Like I said, there'll be at least, 16 videos. It may take me a year or hopefully less to pull these out, but been busy picking up cards in the meantime, Facebook, eBay, kind of behind the scenes, not really showing too many of them off, but I have had a blast learning about and researching what others have researched, each of these players, what their impact was to their team, the majors. Some had short careers and some had very long careers, so it'll be fun to share this with you all. And like I said, if I'm missing a fact or have a player wrong, this isn't the first non-white or black player for this team, let me know for sure. I'm trying to learn as much as I can, so leave a comment, leave an observation, a story you may have heard about this person. Love to interact that way too. So I will start. This is going to be a 16 or 17 card showing. Hope you enjoy it. So the first player, of course, who integrated Major League Baseball in the modern era, of course, was Mr. Jackie Robinson. You saw me talk about him in my Kenny Washington episode. April 15th, 1947. He began and first played with the Brooklyn Dodgers and played until 1956. Again, very short, not a lot of details yet, just introducing the cards and the players. The cards I'll use to tell the stories about the players. So I'll keep Jackie right back here. Maybe, since he was the first, I'll keep him in all the discussions, which would be perfect. So there's Jackie there. Number 2, the Cleveland Indians. That player is Mr. Larry Doby, who first played on July 5th, 1947. He played until 1959 with the Indians, White Sox, and Tigers. This is his 1953 Bowman color, and no, Mookie, No stat backs on this one. It's a clean copy. A little stain on the back there. So that is 1947, Mr. Larry Doby. Next up, I don't have a picture of him or a card of him with this team, but the St. Louis Browns, just 12 days later on July 17th, 1947, Mr. Hank Thompson, his 1950 Bowman. He played 27 games with the St. Louis Browns in 47, and after that, he's actually back in this series. I'll take him just aside. That was Hank Thompson, St. Louis Browns, July 17th, 1947. There he is again on July 8th, 1949. He was one of the first black players to play for the New York Giants. And here he is in his Giants uniform, 1950 Bowman. But he had a teammate in this endeavor. Mr. Monty Irvin, 1954 Topps. Monty also first came up and played on July 8th, 1949. Monty played from 49 to 55 with the Giants. And then in 1956 with the Chicago Cubs, and I do have one of his Cubs cards as well. So those are 1949. Hank Thompson, Monty Irvin. I'll keep Monty here for right now. Next up, in the decade of the 1950s, and I'll move these cards around too a little bit, we have April 18th, 1950 for the Boston Braves, Mr. Sam Jethro. This is his 1952 Bowman card. He played for the Braves from 1950 to 1952, and then had a brief 2-game stint with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1954. And that has a very interesting story I'll tell about his 2 games with the Pirates on the Sam Jethro episode whenever that gets done. So it's a cool way I learned about an interesting overlap of 2 players based on his cards. So that's Sam Jethro, April 18th, 1950. Next up for the Chicago White Sox, it's got a weird little price sticker on this slab cover. I apologize about that. But this is 1961 Topps Minnie Minoso. So Minnie began with Cleveland in 1949 and briefly in 51 played with them too. But then in 1951, he joined the White Sox and became their first black ball player. He spent most of his career with the White Sox, but also had stints with Washington and the St. Louis Cardinals. So there's Minnie Minoso. Next up is the Philadelphia Athletics, Mr. Bob Trice. This is 1954 Topps, Bob Trice. He played with the A's from 1953 to 1955. And shout out to Cardboard Coach Neil. I think he showed this card a few months or so ago. So love the Athletics and that elephant in the top as well, that old logo there. So that's Bob Trice, number 7, September 13th, 1953. Next up, a player who, if you watch my channel, needs no introduction, and pretty darn good one too. Mr. Ernie Banks. Mr. Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub, September 17th, 1953. He made his entrance to the Chicago Cubs. He played with Chicago his entire career from 53 to 71, and he had the longest career of any of these first black players to integrate their team. And of course, all with the Cubs, and of course, my favorite player from the Cubs back in the day, Ernie Banks, 1957 Topps. And because it's Ernie, sorry, Monty, I will take you down, put Ernie here for the time being, and we'll see who else comes up to maybe take a spot on the showcase here. So that's Mr. Cub. He was number 8. Number 9, St. Louis Cardinals. Shout out to all my Cardinals guys on YouTube. On April 13th, 1954, Mr. Tom Alston made his first appearance. He played from 54 to 1957, all with the Cardinals. And this is his 1955 Bowman version of his rookie card. I think he only has this card in terms of mainstay baseball card issues. So it's got some scuffing over here on these borders, but again, love to have that for his first Topps card there too. Mr. Tom Alston, April 13th, 1954. Next up, all my Pittsburgh fans out there in YouTube land, Mr. Kurt Roberts. Kurt Roberts made his appearance also on April 13th, 1954, and he played from 54 to 56, all with the Pirates. And hint, hint, Mr. Kurt Roberts will be part of the Sam Jethro story, or vice versa, when those videos come out, so more to come on that. That was number 10. Number 11, Cincinnati Reds. 1955 Topps, Mr. Chuck Harmon, April 17th. So 4 days after Tom Alston and Kurt Roberts, Chuck Harmon made his debut April 17th, 1954. He played for Cincinnati, St. Louis Cardinals, and the Phillies for about 4 years. Beautiful card there. I love that old school Reds logo in the top too. Next up, number 12, Washington Senators, Washington Nationals on this card. Sorry, got that wrong. Mr. Carlos Paula. He debuted September 6th, 1954, and played with Washington until 1956. There's the Capitol in the background, very cool there on that card. 1955 Topps, number 12. Number 13, the New York Yankees, April 14th, 1955. Elston Howard became the first black New York Yankee. He played with them until 1967 when he was traded to the Boston Red Sox, where he ended his career in 1968. This is his 1964 Topps card. We'll get into more about this card, why I got this card as my one version of Elston Howard, a bit more in his episode too. So very pretty card there, 1964 Topps. Next, we get to some complicated matters here. So I'm open to suggestions on this one. So the 14th team out of 16 was the Philadelphia Phillies. And I think technically it's well determined that an individual named John Kennedy was the first black African-American player for the Phillies, April 22nd, 1957. Mr. John Kennedy only played 5 games and had 2 at-bats. His first game was, again, as a pinch runner as well. He doesn't have any main Topps playing days cards, but there is some write-ups about him and his life and career on the internet. So John Kennedy was the first Philadelphia Philly as a pinch runner in 57. Other sources point to this person as well, Mr. Chico Fernandez. Now, he was born in Cuba. So in terms of, I guess, not being a white player, he counts for that. And again, had a nice career as well. Chico played 1956 for Brooklyn, the Dodgers, but then had his first game with the Phillies actually April 16th, 1957. So 6 days before John Kennedy. But again, don't want to get into details in terms of race, ethnicity, and color of someone's skin. But this person, Chico, is talked about a bit in terms of Philly's history of non-white players. So that's his 1959 Topps card of him, shortstop there. Another player for the Phillies mentioned briefly in this kind of discussion is Pancho Herrera, first base for the Phillies. He joined the Phillies in April of 1958, so the next season, April 58, and played in 58, 60, and 61. Again, just want to show all these cards off as just interesting players and commentary on kind of how the game evolved, I guess, during this integration time frame in the late 50s. So more to come about John Kennedy, Chico, and Pancho and others in the Philadelphia Phillies episode coming up. So that is his 1958 Topps card. Number 15 out of 16 is the Detroit Tigers. And this is Mr. Ozzie Virgil, third base for the Tigers, 1961 Topps. Again, you can discuss what you think is the right person to use for this, for the Tigers. But again, Ozzie Virgil is talked about as the first black player for the Tigers. He was born in, I think, the Dominican Republic. It just has home right here. So again, in terms of players not being, white, he is mentioned as well. He joined in June 6, 1958. He began his career with the Giants in 56 as well, but joined Detroit in 1958. So that's Detroit Tigers, more on the Tigers episode in the future. And lastly, the Boston Red Sox were the last team in terms of those original 16 teams in the 50s to integrate. with Mr. Pumpsie Green. Pumpsie made his debut on July 21st, 1959. He played about 4 years in the league, mostly with the Red Sox, but also with the New York Mets as well. So that is Mr. Pumpsie Green there, 1961 tops, second base / shortstop. So that's the intro. So the goal is going to be to talk about each of these teams, each of these players on their own separate episode. Hopefully it's going to be about a 5 to 8 minute episode on the Dodgers, Indians, Cubs, of course, kind of run down from 1 to 16, but want to show you the cards I've got to represent that first player or players of these teams. They are beautiful. I've learned a ton about the teams, the players, from just buying the cards on eBay and Facebook and in other ways, and I look forward to sharing these stories with you. Not too long. Don't want to make them where it's like each one's an hour, but I can keep them like 5 to 8 minutes for each of these players. And again, people like Jackie Robinson, I've had movies and books, and it's well known who he is, but I'll try to find something unique about Jackie on the Dodgers episode 2. And I'm not sure if I'll start with the Dodgers being first, or maybe start bottoms up with the Red Sox and work backwards. Still a TBD on that, but hopefully you enjoyed this intro video. You've seen the cards. I tried to pick one that kind of represents more or less each set, each year, I think, from the 50s onward. And they're all very beautiful cards, but even more so than the card itself is knowing the player's story behind the card and hoping to share that with you all as well. And again, I'm not the expert. If you know about a story about some other player who may fit this bill or I should consider talking about in my videos, like you forgot about that guy for the Tigers, talk about him, or be aware this is kind of a weird fact you may not have known about, Tony. Let me know, like leave a comment. I want to learn. I want to just absorb myself in this research. And by the time I get to that player in that team's video, hopefully I can do research about your comment, for example, and add him in, or even buy a card of that player I don't have and talk about him as well. So thanks for sticking along through this first intro video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This has been great for me. Thank you for all the support. And by the way, I will be doing a 1 year on YouTube anniversary giveaway later in October, so be aware of that. I'll put that out probably around the 24th or 25th of October. That's my 1 year anniversary. So thinking about that still, but keep a lookout. Thanks for the support. Appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.